Hi, in this week's video we will be progressing the watering system in the garden, so capturing the rainwater, storing it, and now we're just about ready to connect it up so we can pump it out and use it for watering, which is great. And I have also been setting up a beehive, so sorting it out and cleaning it and sterilising it, ready for catching some bees, maybe catching a swarm, or otherwise getting it ready for bees that we'll get next year. Right, so next job in the epic job of putting the water tanks in, which I think we started about 4 years ago. Bought the first IBC, just had it off the roof, collecting water, using it off the bottom, no problem. But we always wanted to put more of them in. We've got 6 of them now, so we've got 6,000 litres. It fills up very quickly off the barn roof. The barn roof is huge, 60 by 20 at least feet, and that fills them in no time. So probably a day's rain and they're full. So that's great. They're all full at the moment because we shut them in about October when we obviously didn't need the water for the garden anymore, and we left them full. I wasn't worried about these freezing because 1,000 litres of water in a plastic tank with a good 2 inches of headroom above them, all wrapped around in wood, I don't think that's going to freeze. It might get a very thin crust of ice on the top, but it wouldn't do any damage. But the pipes, it's all 50mm pipe coming from the roof all the way into the tanks, connects all the tanks along. I'll show you in a sec. And that I think could have frozen if it was full of water. I think it would have frozen because we quite often get minus, probably every year the coldest we'll get a couple of nights minus 15, minus 16 here. We're quite high up, so we will get those sort of temperatures pretty much every year. And sometimes we'll get 2 weeks where it doesn't get above freezing. This year actually was quite mild, but we still had some cold nights. So all I did is I connected it directly through, so it runs into the well, but I knew I needed a valve, but I didn't have any, and you can't just buy them locally. It's a 50mm valve, which I got off of I think it's an agricultural supplier. I think they use them really for the big watering systems you see in the fields, but it's perfect. So I can put that onto here, then I can close it. That means the water can't get any further than that, which means it then fills up to the top of the tanks till it hits this overflow, and that just overflows and down into the well. So job today is to fit this. That's the first part. The next thing is to then fit another valve at the other end, which will enable us to connect up to a small tank that we can actually then connect a pump to get the water, put it up into the garden where we want it. So yeah, so I'm going to get on and fit this. I've got to make a bit of a space for it to sit in so the dirt doesn't get into it, and yeah, let's get to it. I've got some offcuts of granite from the hearth actually that we've had for ages. I'm just going to pop them under the pipe and use that kind of at the end, so the pipe incoming will sit on that, outgoing will sit on that. A couple of tiles either side, and then we'll end up with hopefully a space that won't get dirt falling in, just because I need to operate the valve, if only twice a year. I did film all that, but for some reason the last 10 minutes didn't get filmed. Anyway, all I really did was saw the pipe, and the valve's just on a dry fit. So what I've got to do now is take the actual valve body out and then clean up and glue up these bits. They're fairly clean, to be fair. You want it clean, but it's pretty forgiving, this stuff. Not with any glue, you want it as clean as you can. So we've got a little arrow there, shows the direction of flow. Make sure it's the right way round. If you're doing any plumbing job, it's always awkward, isn't it? I mean, you think, well, I'm out in the garden, it's out in the open, fine, but still manages to be stretching and doing to get at. So I'm pleased with that. That's on. It's open at the moment, so that closes it, that opens it. I mentioned it overflows into the well, and that little grey pipe you can probably just about see, that's the overflow. Now just going to go and switch the valve off, the new valve, and hopefully that will stop. So I've just switched the valve, the new valve I've just fitted, and you can see that's just draining off. Should stop. If not, then the valve's leaking. It's amazing how long these pipes take to fully drain down though. Yeah, it looks like it's slowing to a trickle now. So we'll give that a minute. Yeah, that's definitely slowing right down. So that's good. So that's the new valve in. I just put a couple of tiles on top of it because it occurred to me that gets full sun for probably a good 2 hours a day, and obviously that sun and plastic don't really get on. So I still need to shade that overflow pipe, and we will, I think I'll put a bit of an end on this, just to, because it doesn't get a lot of light there, but it will get some light, and it just goes green over time, the water. So we'll get that shaded down. So the full thing is that, that's the 6 tanks under that cover. I mean, firstly to stop the light is the most important thing, so the tanks don't all go green. Second thing, it just looks a lot nicer than 6 IBCs sat there. And we had the tiles, we've got loads of these tiles from where we stripped off 2 or 3 roofs. Yeah, and just a bit of tongue and groove painted black, so warms up the water a little bit. It's not going to make a lot of difference, but hopefully it'll absorb a bit of heat in the winter, and again makes it that much less likely to freeze. So that's, and it looks nice, it's the most important thing. So yeah, that should hopefully be enough to water the garden for the whole summer, because we will get a hosepipe ban. It doesn't matter how much it rains in the winter, probably 1st of June, you're not allowed to water during the day, and sometimes if it gets worse, even by the end of June, you can be on a full ban, and that even includes watering vegetables if it's really dry, which it hasn't been for the last couple of years, but first 2 or 3 years we were here, there was an outright ban on watering. The only people who were allowed to water were farmers, which kind of seemed a bit daft, that you weren't allowed to water veg. But anyway, we said from the start, let's store the water up. And the other thing is, of course, water only gets more expensive every year, so we've got these in. The IBCs are all second hand. I suppose the whole lot's cost us maybe €500 to do, and it'd probably save us that just in water rates within 2 or 3 years if we can do all the garden off it. The next job is somewhere under here. There's the 50mm pipe coming in off of the tanks. Then I can use the negative head pump if I can get it working. I need to service it, it's not working. If I can get that working, that will then pump the water up the garden to the taps up there. And the pipes to do that are all in, so we're getting there. It's been a long, slow project, but we're getting there. Now, of course, every job involves another job. So in this case, all the scaffolding is exactly where I want to put the tank. So first thing, move all the scaffolding, which I think is just going to have to go outside for now, which will be fine. It doesn't really matter too much. And once I've got the tank in, I can have a think about whether I can put the scaffold back somewhere. Anyway, I'll get that moved now. So I've got the tank, it's going to go here. Got the digger out, ready to dig the hole. So I want to dig it down so the tank sits about there. That's that level with the ground. So it's quite a decent sized hole got to dig out. So I'm just hoping we don't hit any big rocks. If we don't, it won't take very long. If we do, who knows? We'll see. Well, that went about as well as I could have hoped. So I've just got to square it up with a spade, get rid of this spoil, that's going to go over there on what's going to be a new flower bed. Yeah, and then just kind of get the tank to fit and have a think about maybe pouring some concrete, put a base in for the tank to sit on, and I've got to shore up the sides so they don't fall down on the tank. One hole. So the tank goes in there, as you can see. I'll try not to trip into the hole. And I've got a nice space there all the way around to get some concrete, bit of rebar, that'll just reinforce that, and the tank can sit up a couple of inches. It's more or less bedrock underneath, so I don't need massive concrete underneath, and it's only, I don't know what it is, 40 litres, something like that. So we're not, we're talking 40, 50 kilos, not massive weight. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. That went as good as it could have gone, really. So I'll glue that last and then get that level. So anyway, don't take it off, got to measure it and get the tape. So 8 inches, 200 mil, that'll do that. Right, we're going to have to take this tank a bit deeper, because as it stands, it would go in about that level. I want it to go in as close to the top as possible, and there's no concrete, so I need to get about another 8 inches down so I can put my concrete at the bottom, and that will still sit there. So it's not too bad. Well, so far it's been easy enough to dig, so hopefully it continues to be easy to dig. particles, but nothing. That's probably in the tank already. Okay, so in the next video I'll be fitting this pump, which will complete the garden watering system, and also progressing the woodwork on the floor, the new floor that's going into the barn. Been doing a bit of work putting the wood in storage, and whilst I was there I had to move the old beehive for the bees that we had 4 or 5 years ago. It's done nothing really, it's been sat in there for about 4 years, and I thought, well, I might as well put it out. I think there's been so many flowers this year on the trees. It seems to have been an exceptional year for everything. So if that carries on, that means a lot of nectar, and a lot of nectar probably means a lot of swarms. And there's quite a lot of honeybees in this area. So we caught a swarm before, and there's a fair chance I think we'll catch a swarm again. So in order to be ready in case that happens, you never know, but it might, I thought I'll get the hive prepared. I've got all of the old wax off it, all of the old muck as best I can, and I've seen a few kind of recommendations to actually to burn the inside of the hive, well, inside and out actually, because it protects the wood as well. And apparently the bees like it, so they're actually attracted to kind of burnt wood. So have a go at it, set it up. If we don't catch a swarm this year, we haven't lost anything, I'll probably order bees for next year. And if we do, great. So worth setting up anyway. It's one less job to do next year. So I'm going to get on and get this burnt and then put it back together. I've got the baseboard here, I've got a deep brood box there, and I've got the lid, top board and the lid there. So that's the minimum we need really just to get going. I do need to buy a couple more frames and some wax foundation, so I'll get that next week and get that put in there. But then we should all be ready to go. Yeah, so that's the deep box which we've got to do, and put some new, got the frames, but we need to put some new, flame them and put some new foundation on. This is what it looks like before brushing, and battery ran out on the drill, so I got a little brass wire brush, and to be honest it's probably easier with that. And that's what it looks like after brushing, and then all I'm going to do is melt a bit of beeswax on and kind of brush it in. Right, that's got the hive all scorched down, and I've oiled all of the outside, so that'll keep the rain off, just help protect the wood. And ready for the bees now. I've put foundation into all the frames, so all we've got to do now is put the frames into the box, put the top cover on, put the lid on, and then wait till we get some bees. So there we go, frames in, a little bit of insulation. That's just some recycled sheep's wool insulation on top. Helps keep it a bit warmer in the winter, a bit cooler in the summer. Also we've got the zinc roof, which helps reflect all the heat because it is a bit sunny here. But it's not so hot that I'd be worried about it being dark. You often see beehives painted white, which is to help reflect the heat, but to be honest, I don't think anywhere in Northern Europe, or even central France, I don't think you need to worry about that too much. So we'll leave it. If we're really lucky, a swarm will just arrive, which there's a lot of swarms around here. It's not that unlikely, it's happened before here. And if not, we'll either see if we can catch a swarm, or failing that, we'll see about ordering some bees for next year. So at least it's done, it's ready, which is nice, rather than just being sat in storage. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. It looks nice, look a lot nicer with bees buzzing in and out of it. So thank you very much for watching and see you next time.